you can write forever, You can write, I can be writing songs when I'm 50 years old, but chances are I won't be as hot a performer in those days. We'll see.
Bobbie Lee Gentry was born Roberta Lee Streeter on July 27, 1942, and is a retired American singer-songwriter who was one of the first female artists in America to compose and produce her own material. Gentry rose to international fame in 1967 with her Southern Gothic narrative Ode to Billie Joe. The track spent 4 weeks at #1 on the Billboard Hot 100 chart and was third on the Billboard Year-End chart of 1967, earning Gentry Grammy Awards for Best New Artist and Best Female Pop Vocal Performance in 1968. Gentry charted 11 singles on the Billboard Hot 100 and 4 singles on the United Kingdom Top 40. Her album Fancy brought her a Grammy nomination for Best Female Pop Vocal Performance. After her first albums, she had a successful run of variety shows on the Las Vegas Strip. Relax as we dive into the sudden disappearance of Bobbie Gentry and what she's been doing since. Gentry was born Roberta Lee Streeter on July 27, 1942, near Woodland in Chickasaw County, Mississippi, to Ruby Lee, née Shipman, and Robert Harrison Streeter. After her parents divorced shortly after her birth, her mother moved to California, leading Gentry to be raised on a farm in Chickasaw County, Mississippi, by her paternal grandparents. She grew up without electricity or plumbing. Her grandmother traded one of the family's milk cows for a neighbor's piano, and at age 7, Gentry composed her first song, My Dog Sergeant Is a Good Dog. Gentry lived in Greenwood, Mississippi, with her father for a few years and learned to play the guitar and banjo. At age 13, Gentry moved to Palm Springs, California, to live with her then-married mother. They performed as a duo, Ruby and Bobbie Myers, for a short time. Gentry took her stage name from the 1952 film Bobbie Gentry, which she had seen on television. In the film, Ruby, played by Jennifer Jones, was a poor but beautiful girl from the backwoods who ended up marrying the town tycoon. After graduating high school, Gentry moved to Los Angeles to enter UCLA as a philosophy major. She supported herself with clerical jobs, occasionally performing at nightclubs and country clubs. When she appeared in a review at Les Foley's Burgers nightclub in Las Vegas, Bob Hope encouraged her to keep performing. She worked as a fashion model, and on June 29, 1962, United Press International circulated a wire photo of Gentry that included Cheryl Crane, daughter of Lana Turner. Gentry transferred to the Los Angeles Conservatory of Music, where she took classes in composition, music theory, and arranging. While attending a Jody Reynolds concert at a club in Palm Springs in 1966, Gentry asked if she could sit in on one of Reynolds' recording sessions. This led to an invitation to sing on 2 duets with Reynolds, Stranger in the Mirror and Requiem for Love. The 2 songs were released in September 1966 by Titan Records, but failed to chart. Gentry recorded a demo at Whitney Recording Studio in Glendale, California in February and March 1967. Her sole ambition originally was to write songs to sell to other artists, telling the Washington Post that she only sang on the recording of Ode to Billie Joe that she took to Capitol because it was cheaper than hiring someone to sing it. Gentry signed with Capitol Records on June 23, 1967, where staff producer Kelly Gordon would produce Ode to Billie Joe as his first full-length album for the label. It was Mississippi Delta, intended as the A-side of her first single, that initially got Gentry signed. Her original demo of Mississippi Delta was the version issued, but Ode to Billie Joe acquired a string arrangement by Jimmy Haskell dubbed onto the original recording at Capitol. The day after the string session, Capitol's A&R team decided to make Ode to Billie Joe the A-side. The single was released on July 10, 1967. It would spend 4 weeks at #1 on the Billboard Hot 100 and place #3 on the year-end chart. The single reached #8 on the Billboard Black Singles chart and #13 on the UK Top 40. It sold more than 3 million copies worldwide. In 2001, Rolling Stone magazine listed Ode to Billie Joe among the 500 greatest songs of all time. Following the single's success, the producers quickly assembled the rest of the album from the 12 demos Gentry had recorded, completing overdubs in a matter of days. The result was a unique combination of blues, folk, and jazz elements that rounded out Gentry's recollections of her home, coming across more as a concept album than a hastily assembled collection of songs. Capitol pre-ordered 500,000 copies, the largest pressing of a debut album in the label's history. The album hit stores within a month of pressing, on August 21st. Ode to Billie Joe replaced the Beatles' Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band at the top of the Billboard 200 and reached number 5 on the Billboard Black Albums chart. Gentry won 3 Grammy Awards in 1967, including Best New Artist and Best Female Pop Vocal Performance. She was also named the Academy of Country Music's Most Promising Female Vocalist in February 1968. Gentry took part in the Italian Song Festival in Sanremo competition as one of 2 performers of La Siepe by Vito Pallavicini and Massara. Capitol released the song concurrently as a single backed by another Italian tune also recorded by Gentry, La Siepe Grande, by Pallavicini and De Ponte. Gentry's second album, The Delta Suite, was released in February 1968. In its musical ambition, the album represented a decisive step beyond her debut. This concept album drew inspiration from Gentry's Mississippi Delta roots. Most of its sound comes from Gentry, who played almost every instrument on its tracks, including piano, guitar, banjo, bass, and vibes. Nonetheless, Capitol's Kelly Gordon, producer of Gentry's first work for the label, also received the entire producing credit for The Delta Suite. The album earned Gentry 2 more entries on the Billboard Hot 100. Okolona River Bottom Band peaked at number 54, while her cover of Louisiana Man made it to number 100. Although the album failed to match the success of its predecessor, only reaching number 132 on the Billboard 200, critics have called it one of the unacclaimed masterpieces of the 1960s. Impressed with Gentry's performances on and off screen, the head of the BBC invited her in 1968 to host a variety show on BBC Two, making her the first female songwriter to host a series on the network. With help from producer Stanley Dorfman, she made 6 half-hour episodes that aired weekly from July 13th to August 17 of that year. Dorfman told author Tara Murtha, after a few episodes she was pretty much co-directing the show because she had such great ideas. But the BBC wouldn't have an artist credited as a director or producer, so the credit went to me as producer and director. But she definitely contributed as much as I did creatively to the show. She was just full of ideas. Following The Delta Suite, Capitol released Gentry's third album, Local Gentry, in August 1968. It failed to appear on any of the Billboard album charts, but did peak at number 83 on the Cashbox Top 100 Albums chart. In September, 1 month after the release of Local Gentry, the artist's third album of 1968 came out, Bobbie Gentry and Glenn Campbell, featuring duets with labelmate Glenn Campbell. Their chemistry made the partnership a great success. The album peaked at number 11 on the Billboard Top LPs chart and number 1 on the Top Country LPs chart. It was also certified gold by the RIAA and earned Gentry and Campbell the Academy of Country Music Award for Album of the Year. Gentry was also nominated for Top Female Vocalist. Gentry produced a second series of shows for BBC Two in 1969, which aired weekly from June 18th to July 23rd. Gentry's fifth album, Touch 'Em With Love, came out in July 1969. It marked a transition in her career in an attempt to rebrand Gentry as a blue-eyed soul singer featuring fewer self-penned regional songs and more systematically chosen cover songs. Recorded in Nashville and produced by Kelso Hurston, the album's 10 tracks included only 2 originals. The title track was released as the first single, but it failed to go above number 113 on Billboard's Bubbling Under the Hot 100 chart and only reached number 164 on the Billboard 200. Gentry's cover of I'll Never Fall in Love Again was released as the second single in the UK, where it became a number 1 hit on the UK singles chart. The album reached number 21 on the UK albums chart. In 1969, Gentry taped 4 television specials for Canadian television station CFTO TV Toronto for North American syndication. April 1970 saw the release of Fancy, Gentry's 6th album in 3 years. Like 1969's Touch 'Em With Love, it contains only covers, except for the artist's self-penned title track. Most of the album was recorded at Fame Recording Studios in Muscle Shoals, Alabama, with producer Rick Hall. Fancy, released as the album's first single, became Gentry's biggest hit since Ode to Billie Joe, peaking within the top 40 in the US, Canada, and Australia. Of the song, Gentry herself said, "Fancy is my strongest statement for women's lib. If you really listen to it, I agree wholeheartedly with that movement and all the serious issues that it stands for: equality, equal pay, daycare centers, and abortion rights," she explained to After Dark magazine in 1974. The album's first European single, a cover of Raindrops Keep Falling on My Head, peaked at number 40. The album's second North American single, He Made a Woman Out of Me, did not reach the same heights as Fancy, reaching only number 71 on the Billboard Hot 100. Gentry would be nominated for Best Contemporary Vocal Performance, Female, at the 13th Annual Grammy Awards in early 1971. Gentry produced a third and final series of shows for BBC Two, also consisting of 6 weekly episodes aired from February 1st to March 15th of that year. Gentry released Patchwork in April 1971. It has been described as a collection of short stories and songs ranging from country and pop to blues stitched together with cinematic interludes to form a cohesive whole. Patchwork was Gentry's first entirely self-written and produced album. Its first single, But I Can't Get Back, was a small hit, peaking at number 37 on the Billboard Top 40 Easy Listening chart and number 93 in Canada. Gentry would release one more single for Capitol in August 1972, The Girl from Cincinnati. Around the time Patchwork was released, the entire executive board that had been at Capitol throughout Gentry's career was fired. A major restructuring at Capitol took place as parent company EMI tried to seize back control and rekindle the label's dwindling profits. This saw the artist roster slashed from 247 to 81, alongside extensive cuts to production and marketing budgets. With none of the executive board left that had known and worked with her, negotiations stalled over the renewal terms of Gentry's contract. And this failure to reach an agreement with Capitol created a stalemate. Since Gentry was unwilling to release an album with Capitol on the terms offered, she found herself unable to release an album on another label, meaning she was left with no choice but to wait out the remaining option period of her contract. In 1974, she hosted a summer replacement variety show on CBS called the Bobbie Gentry Happiness Hour. The show, which was her version of Glenn Campbell's hit series The Glenn Campbell Good Time Hour, was not renewed for a full season. In 1975, Gentry wrote and performed Another Place, Another Time for writer-director Max Baer Jr.'s film Macon County Line. Following the film's success, the song was released on a promotional 7-inch single. In 1976, Baer directed the feature film Ode to Billie Joe, based on Gentry's hit song and starring Robbie Benson and Glynis O'Connor. In the movie, the mystery of the title character's suicide is revealed as part of the conflict between his love for Bobby Lee Hartley and a drunken homosexual experience. Warner Brothers Records released a soundtrack of the score by Michel Legrand, including a re-recorded version of Ode to Billie Joe, retitled Ode to Billie Joe, to match the film's title, with Gentry stating that the original spelling was an error. Warner Brothers released the new version as a single, and Capitol re-released the original version, which gave Gentry 2 concurrent chart placings with the same song. The re-recording would go on to be Gentry's last single to chart, meaning that her first and last chart entries are the same song. In 1977, Gentry reunited with producer Rick Hall in Muscle Shoals to record an album for the Curb Records division of Warner Brothers Records. Unlike Gentry's 1969 Fancy album, Gentry's 1977 recording sessions with Hall were not at his Fame Studios, but at the nearby Music Mill studio. After an advance single, Steal Away, had an unsuccessful February 1978 release, the album was shelved. Steal Away, a remake of the 1964 Jimmy Hughes hit, which had inaugurated Fame Studios' hit streak, had as its B-side the Patty Douglas composition He Did Me Wrong, But He Did It Right. These tracks, plus 3 additional tracks from Gentry's 1977 recording sessions, Slow Cookin', written by Abby Marble, Sweet Country, written by Gentry, and Thunder in the Afternoon, written by Mac Davis, Rita Graham, and Yvonne Norman, would be released on the 1992 European compilation album Ode to Billie Joe. 1978-1982, final projects before retirement. Gentry appeared as a guest on The Tonight Show starring Johnny Carson on Christmas Day 1978. She attended the Best of Vegas Awards on March 21, 1980. On May 10, 1981, Gentry was one of many celebrity guests to take part in an all-star salute to Mother's Day. During the television special, she performed Mama a Rainbow from the musical Minnie's Boys for her mother, who was seated in the audience. This would prove to be Gentry's final public performance. The last time Gentry appeared in public was when she attended the Academy of Country Music Awards on April 30, 1982. She was 39 years old. Since that time, she has not recorded, performed, or been interviewed. One 2016 news report stated that Gentry lives in a gated community near Memphis, Tennessee. According to another, Gentry lives in a gated community in Los Angeles. Following her departure from the public eye, Bobbie Gentry maintained an enigmatic presence, with sporadic reports and sightings fueling curiosity about her whereabouts and activities. The last known public performance by Gentry was in 1981 during a Mother's Day television special, where she performed Mama a Rainbow for her mother, seated in the audience. After this appearance, she largely withdrew from public life. This sudden disappearance from the public sphere led to numerous rumors and myths about her life. Some speculated that she had grown disillusioned with the music industry, while others suggested she simply wanted to live a quieter life, away from the relentless pressures of fame. Reports from the mid-2000s indicated that Gentry resided in a gated community near Memphis, Tennessee. Later accounts suggested she lived in Los Angeles, further adding to the mystery surrounding her life. Despite these varying reports, it is clear that Gentry chose a path of seclusion, a stark contrast to her years in the limelight. During her retirement, Gentry reportedly focused on her personal life and various business ventures. She had always been a savvy businesswoman, retaining control over much of her music rights and earnings. This financial acumen allowed her to live comfortably without the need to return to the public eye. Gentry's reclusiveness only added to her legend, with many fans and music historians longing for a deeper understanding of her post-retirement life. Despite the lack of public appearances, her influence on music remained significant. Gentry's innovative approach to songwriting and production paved the way for future generations of female artists to take control of their creative processes. The release of reissues and compilations of her work kept Gentry's music in the public consciousness. These releases often included previously unreleased tracks and provided new insights into her artistic journey. The enduring popularity of Ode to Billie Joe and her other hits ensured that Gentry's legacy would not be forgotten. In recent years, efforts to uncover more about Gentry's life have intensified. Documentaries, books, and articles have sought to piece together the story of her remarkable career and subsequent withdrawal from fame. Despite these efforts, Gentry herself has remained silent, choosing not to participate in the retelling of her story. One of the most comprehensive accounts of Gentry's life came from author Tara Murtha, who wrote a detailed book about Gentry's career and influence. Murtha's work shed light on Gentry's early years, her rise to fame, and the reasons she might have chosen to retire. According to Murtha, Gentry's decision to step away from the public eye was a deliberate choice, motivated by a desire for privacy and a different kind of fulfillment than what the music industry could offer. Gentry's impact on music and culture cannot be overstated. Her success in a male-dominated industry, her innovative blending of genres, and her ability to tell compelling stories through song set her apart as a true pioneer. Even in her absence, Gentry's music continued to inspire and influence artists across genres. In the end, Bobbie Gentry's story is one of immense talent, groundbreaking achievements, and a profound desire for a life beyond the stage. Her choice to retire at the height of her career remains a testament to her individuality and strength. While fans may never fully understand her reasons for stepping away, her legacy as a trailblazer in the music industry remains intact. To this day, Bobbie Gentry's life after retirement remains shrouded in mystery, a reflection of her desire to live on her own terms. Her enduring influence on music and her groundbreaking contributions to the industry ensure that she will always be remembered as a true icon. Whether or not she ever chooses to return to the public eye, her legacy is secure, and her music continues to resonate with new generations of listeners. The album with Glen Campbell. Bobbie Gentry's collaboration with Glen Campbell stands as one of the most celebrated partnerships in country music history. Their duets not only showcased their individual talents, but also highlighted a unique chemistry that resonated with audiences. Gentry, already a household name with her hit Ode to Billie Joe, and Campbell, a rising star with hits like Gentle on My Mind, came together in the late 1960s to create magic both in the studio and on stage. The partnership began in 1968, when Gentry and Campbell teamed up to record the album Bobbie Gentry and Glen Campbell. Released by Capitol Records in September of that year, the album was an immediate success. It peaked at number 11 on the Billboard Top LPs chart and reached number 1 on the Top Country LPs chart. The album was certified gold by the RIAA, a testament to its popularity. The album featured a mix of covers and original songs, blending the distinct styles of both artists. Their rendition of Mornin' Glory, a track written by Bobbie Gentry, became particularly popular. The song showcased the seamless harmony between Gentry's soulful, smoky voice and Campbell's smooth, clear vocals. Other notable tracks included Let It Be Me, Gentle on My Mind, and All I Have to Do Is Dream, each bringing out the best of both artists. Gentry and Campbell's chemistry was not confined to the recording studio. Their live performances were equally captivating. They toured together, bringing their collaborative energy to audiences across the country. Their dynamic stage presence and the genuine warmth between them made their shows memorable. Fans appreciated not only their musical synergy, but also the palpable sense of fun and camaraderie they shared. In addition to their musical collaborations, Gentry and Campbell appeared together on several television programs. One notable appearance was on Campbell's television show, The Glen Campbell Good Time Hour, which aired from 1969 to 1972. Gentry's guest appearances on the show were highlights, drawing significant viewership. Their performances on the show included duets from their album as well as individual songs, showcasing their versatility and wide-ranging appeal. The success of Bobbie Gentry and Glen Campbell and their subsequent collaborations underscored the unique rapport they shared. Their professional relationship was characterized by mutual respect and admiration. In interviews, both artists spoke highly of each other's talents. Gentry appreciated Campbell's musicianship and his ability to bring a distinct touch to their duets. Campbell, in turn, admired Gentry's songwriting prowess and her evocative storytelling. Despite their successful collaborations, Gentry and Campbell's partnership was relatively short-lived. Both artists were pursuing busy solo careers, and their paths eventually diverged. However, the impact of their collaboration remained significant. The album Bobbie Gentry and Glen Campbell continued to be a favorite among fans, and their duets became enduring classics in country music. The legacy of their partnership is evident in the way their duets have been remembered and celebrated over the years. The seamless blend of their voices and the emotional depth they brought to their songs set a high standard for musical collaborations. Their work together remains a benchmark for duet albums in country music, influencing future generations of artists. Bobbie Gentry's collaboration with Glen Campbell is a remarkable chapter in her career. It highlighted her ability to connect with other artists and create music that resonated deeply with audiences. For Campbell, working with Gentry allowed him to explore new musical avenues and expand his artistic range. Together, they created a body of work that continues to be celebrated for its warmth, harmony, and enduring appeal. In conclusion, the collaboration between Bobbie Gentry and Glen Campbell was a significant and memorable part of both artists' careers. Their album, Bobbie Gentry and Glen Campbell, stands as a testament to their unique chemistry and musical synergy. The success of their duets, both on record and in live performances, highlighted their individual talents and the magic that happened when they came together. Even though their professional partnership was brief, its impact on country music remains profound, and their work together continues to be cherished by fans and musicians alike. Thanks for watching. Subscribe.